All right, everybody. This is CBSI Presents. This is the Hot 10 Show. So we are January 31st, 2020. I'm Dino, comicbookinvest.com for all your speculation needs. Obviously, the top 10's on comicbookinvest.com. If you don't have it, we do the video every Friday. We have Mr. Brian McClay to this way. And then downtown, we got my boy Peter. Great writer on the comicbookinvest.com website. So, boys, we're ready to go on this one. I like this one.
It's very interesting week. We kind of chit-chatted a little bit ago about some of these books. We'll just get right into it. We'll get started here with our honorable mention, of course, our Golden Age book. We were just talking about this book. This is one of my all-time favorite covers. I'm a big fan of these Punch covers. You guys all know how much I love Punch 12. But this book has always been one of my favorite Golden Age covers. I probably enjoy this cover more than Punch 12. I just like the different types of. I mean, there's so many different no-nos, right? The type of things that you don't want to see in comics. You got the little guy stabbing him in the back. You got the chick shooting him. You got the other guy trying to hang him, and he's got his hand hanging with the phone calling, and he's the artist of the book. And it's just such a great cover that catches you. I love this cover.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good one.
Ben on his write-up this week, he talks about Golden Age and just some of the sales values on some of these books. And this is another crazy one. This is a 4.5 sold this week for $3,700. That is crazy. Yeah. That's $250 more than a 6.0 sold just 2 years ago. So, wow. For those of you guys, I mean, you hear it every week. We talk about this Golden Age stuff. Just keep your eyes open, especially if you can get it in good grade and, that's vibrant colors. And especially if you can find some of these pre-code horror and pre-code crime stuff. It's stupid to pass some of the stuff up if you can get it.
I mean, I know he puts these on here, but I mean, even at, you guys still got to have $4,000 laying around.
Yeah, exactly. Good boy prices there.
Yeah. I think it's just more important to kind of showcase that Golden Age is something that we should all be looking at. I like Dennis's comment, very Norman Rockwell. I think that's a great way to put it. It's very 180 of Norman Rockwell, right? So it's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cover.
I had speaking of Golden Age, I had a Black Terror Comics 19. Some guy had a 4.0 for like $400 or $500. I'm like, do you buy it because it doesn't go up? But I mean, it's just Black Terror. It's a Schomburg, but I mean, I'm not the biggest Schomburg fan.
It's funny because I used to only you mentioned Schomburg. Schomburg was one of those guys that you'd always hear somebody talk about him, but the only time you'd ever see one of his covers was that I think it was like Champions or something like that.
Yeah, Champions covers.
Yeah, the Champions cover that came out in the Silver Age. Yeah. So beautiful book. I mean, what else can we say about it other than it's Golden Age? It's a killer pre-code horror Golden Age and Punch comics. So it is what it is. Honorable mention number 2 this week. Now, this is an interesting one. I haven't been watching the CW series. Peter, have you been watching it?
No, I've fallen behind, but it was kind of spoiled, so I know how it ends.
Yeah, I think Dino, are you watching it?
No, I guess this is the last season, right, Pete? Though, isn't it the last episode or something?
Yeah, that was the last one. I mean, and honestly, the streaming shows kind of made the CW shows a little lackluster in comparison.
And I've said it from the beginning. I thought Arrow was always really cheesy. I thought Flash was excellent the first couple of years, but I think it's kind of just dulled down, being the same big bad every year. It's another speedster type thing. And True. I know they changed it up, and they tried to do some cool stuff this year with the Crisis on Infinite Earths, storyline, which is cool, but I just couldn't get back into it.
Yeah.
But, we talk about spoilers on this stuff a lot. That spoil, if you're worried about spoilers, this is not the channel to be watching. So this book is big right now because of what happened in the latest episode of Arrow, I'm guessing. At the very end of the episode, Diggle's kind of taking off and to join his new life in Metropolis when out of nowhere a big meteorite or something lands in front of his truck, and he walks up and there's a ring box that he opens up and a big green light flashes on his face. So everybody's kind of going crazy about Diggle right now. And as Ben says in his Hot 10 article on comicbookinvest.com, this is his first appearance in continuity. So he does have a first appearance in, I forget what book it was. Do you remember?
It's Arrow, like the adaptation of the show, like Arrow
Okay.
#1.
Arrow #1.
So that's his first appearance, but this is his first appearance in the DCU continuity for the comics. So, Peter, you were saying you actually sold one of these recently, right?
Yeah, today. I found this in a dollar bin like 2 weeks ago. I have a couple. I just had the one handy. Yeah, I listed it 5 minutes. Sold. Quick.
So, I mean, there's a reason why he's got him on the list. That's the reason. I mean, you put this book up, you're getting $15, $20 all day for it.
And they're still in dollar bins.
Oh yeah.
You should go look. Green Arrow's filled dollar bins.
Dude, I pass. I blow through Green Arrow. Just
another one of those books, yeah, like you said, that it's just, kind of like Fantastic Four. There's not very much to look for, and especially now with the show dying, I think a lot of the spec on Green Arrow was from the show, so it'll be interesting to see, what we got next. All right, on we go. Number 10. This is interesting. This is one of those fun little finds that I really enjoy. This book came out the same month. Remind me if I'm wrong here, but I think it came out the same month as issue #1 of the Clone Wars on the Dark Horse stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yep.
So, I mean, she's a little bit more upfront on this cover. You get a little bit more view of her. So this will be interesting to see what this does. But this is, if I'm not mistaken, a pulp type book, like a little.
Yeah, it was packaged with like the DVD or something.
Yeah, it's small. So it did come, like you said, with the DVD. I don't know however many there are, but you never know. You never know with stuff like this. The thing that this reminds me of is the Rick and Morty DVD book.
The Good Morty.
Yep, the Good Morty one. The Del Auto Marvel Alliance books.
Yeah.
So there's some the Amazing Spider-Man 300,
the Maximum Carnage,
Maximum Carnage, great book. What a great book that is, and that is a tough book to find in the wild.
Yeah, because no matter how many they printed, who knows how many survived.
You got it. And those are the type of books I think that a lot of us who are kind of collectors first, speculators second, love those books because we're always looking for those type of books because they can those type of books always sell. That Maximum Carnage book will always sell. I love books like this, and we all remember that whole Good Morty stuff. That thing was crazy. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. She's definitely coming in. We don't know. I mean, we're hearing it's Mandalorian season 2. She's gonna show up in something. She's too good of a character not to. Too many people love her.
Speaking of Mandalorian too, if you haven't looked, Sideshow's got the Baby Yoda out for $350.
Oh. Yep,
my wife wants that.
I know my wife does too. I'm like,
I'm really surprised that we didn't see that sooner.
Yeah.
I don't think they were prepared.
Nope.
Either they weren't prepared, or I've also heard people say they didn't want to spoil it. But when did Disney not want to make money off of something? You know what I mean?
That's true.
So, all right, on to the next one. This one's kind of interesting. This is a Stranko Airboy variant. Peter, you said that you saw this and you saw that this was one of 5 variants that came out.
Yeah, I was just checking. Like, I had no idea about this book until I saw it on the list. And then I looked, and this Airboy came out this week, and there was like 5 or 6 covers. They all seemed to be the same price, so I don't think any were ratios, and they were all $10 covers. And this one, if you look, there's like 4 or 5 listed, and they're all pretty high up there. Talking like $50 that they're looking for this thing. The other covers, I don't think so much, but I mean, I see why. This is I'm not a big sketch cover guy, but I can see it on this one.
Yeah,
this is pretty sweet.
Yeah, Stranko doesn't put much new stuff out there. I don't know how new this is. Somebody will have to let us know if this is the old work or if this is new work. If this is sketchbook work, I don't know what this is. But it is a beautiful cover. Stranko, I love Stranko.
Yeah.
$10 cover price is pretty steep though. And like Ben says, with that $10 cover price, how many of these were actually ordered? He says there's very limited sales data, but there are some $25 to $50 asks on eBay. There was a $25 sale, so maybe this is a book. If you get a chance to grab a couple, I know that $10 price tag is pretty high, but if you can get 50 out of it, it's worth it.
Yeah, who's ordering Airboy?
Dude, you know what's funny? Airboy, the classic Airboy comics from back in the day, like the 47 Airboy comics, they have dope covers, man. They really do. I mean, some of those Airboy comics, they're I would say they're underrated. A lot of people aren't going looking for Airboy, but
a lot of Dave Stevens covers too, in some of those later Airboy books. So, if you see those Airboy books, going through dollar bins, check to see if it's a Dave Stevens cover. It might net you a couple bucks.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful cover art, and like Nine Square says, it's a masterful composition. He says so. Stranko has always got amazing composition. He's got some of the most amazing covers out there when it comes to composition.
And he'll sign it for you too. No big deal.
Yeah. So, all right, on to number 8. This is this kind of goes back to every other homage cover out there. People love their homage covers. They love their Amazing Spider-Man homage covers, and they love their Superman homage covers.
That they do.
I get tired of seeing this homage. This is one of the homages. It's up there with Amazing Spider-Man 300 and AF-15. I'm just tired of it.
Yeah, I saw a couple on the shelf. I didn't even grab one for myself.
Is Ice Cream Man #1 still doing decent? I think it was.
That's a good question. That's a good question. We heard about that book pretty early on about spec. People saying, "Oh, this is going to be something they're going to want to option." And I know there was talk about it being optioned, but you never know. This is just is, I think, more along the lines of those homage cover fans. There's always those fans out there and I used to be one of them. Back when Marvel Zombies was out, oh man, that was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Those Marvel Zombies covers. So I just think they're overdoing it a little too much.
River comics still going for 50. I mean,
yeah.
I actually like the B cover on this. I looked at the B cover. It's a little bit creepy.
Yep.
Well, this I have seen this one being sold quite a few Facebook auctions past couple of days or past day or so. So it's being talked about. It's out there. This is another interesting one coming up. Where's our boy Paul W. that we can all give him shit being a Star Trek fan?
I sent him a relic card today, actually, for Star Trek. It was Picard from the movies, the latest movies, as part of his uniform.
Oh, really? He's gonna geek out.
Yeah, I don't know if he bought it or not. I mean, it was cheap. It wasn't like it was $8,000 or something. But.
Yeah. Well, have any of you guys seen the new TV series yet?
No. I don't have that CBS streaming.
Yeah, I don't either.
I watched episode 1 because it was on Amazon Prime. It was for free or something on Amazon Prime, and I watched episode 1. I'm not a Star Trek fan, I'm a Star Wars guy, and you're either one or the other.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Yeah, and I watched it, and I will say this. I will say that I was always a little bit of a fan of the Jean-Luc Picard character. I remember growing up in the 90s, and my uncle was a huge Star Trek fan, and he used to always say to me, I used to always give him shit, I was a Star Wars fan, and Star Wars is terrible, or Star Trek is terrible, and I'm a Star Wars fan. He would say, check out the Borg stuff. The Borg stuff is cool. And I remember the Borg stuff was actually kind of cool, and the Jean-Luc Picard character is a really good character. I like Patrick Stewart. So I can see why, it's weird how photo covers or the photo variants work. I mean, Star Trek and Star Wars photo variants, they sell.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm in the same boat, dude. I watched a lot of more Trek than I did Star Wars, and my uncle was this big star. I mean, he had like all the DVDs or whatever. I think it was tapes back in the day, but it was I started watching Star Trek, and then I got to the end of was it Next Generation, and then it went into Voyager, right? And then I kind of creeped on the Voyager for a little bit, and then kind of tailed off.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I will say this. I watched episode 1, and for me, it was really bad. The acting was terrible. The storyline was really...
I heard it got better with the second episode.
Oh, God, I hope so.
Because I have no idea. I didn't watch either yet.
Oh, it was so bad. For me, it was really bad. The acting was terrible, and the storyline was very predictable. It was just... I was surprised that it was being put out. But again, it's coming from a guy who's a Star Wars fan. So One of the things, yeah. One of the things that kind of blows me away that Ben said is that this is selling for $20 to $30, which is 2 to 3 times the ratio. So, again, these photo variants for Star Wars, Star Trek, some of the Marvel movies do the same thing. Some of these photo variants just catch heat the first couple of weeks, and they'll sell for $20, $30
for this Picard title.
Yeah. So be on the lookout. All right. This is an interesting one. How do you say this? Mimetic?
Mimetic, that's what I'm going to go with too.
Yeah, mimetic.
All the young kids would be meme tick about the memes, dog.
Yeah. James Tinian the Fourth. I don't know. We were talking earlier. I'm not sure what James Tinian the Fourth creator first, his very first published work was, but this seems like
it was DC. It was some DC books.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be early indie stuff for him.
Yeah.
So this is some from 2015. I think you said, Dino.
Yep, 2015. Big news with Seth Rogen. Actually, Seth Rogen, the comedian, from Knocked Up and stuff. He's adapting it through Lionsgate, and that's why this book's on this list right now. So, I mean, $5-10 book going for 2025. I mean, I tell you, we talked about it before the show. None of us even heard about this. I'm sure nobody has it in any other boxes. I mean,
yeah,
I bet it's not even in any dollar bins. Honestly, I mean,
no, I've not seen it. This kind of stands out. You would see this in a box.
Yeah.
That white cover, it would pop.
Yeah. And you wouldn't know how it would be like, just sitting there for years.
The stuff that Seth Rogen is doing, though, I mean, Preacher, whether you like Preacher or not, I think he did a good job with Preacher and putting it on TV. The Boys is amazing. We all love that show.
Yeah.
And he's got a good track record so far. So if he continues to do good stuff, everything that he touches might be gold.
Yeah, I think the problem just with Preacher was I think they made him do like one season to set up the characters instead of getting right to the story. Yeah, and I think that's what kind of hurt it a little bit. But I enjoy it. I like the run.
Yeah, and we got The Boys season 2 coming out soon, if I remember correctly.
Can't wait.
Yeah. All right, this is I can't remember an omnibus.
First. Yeah, this is the first, I think.
Yeah.
I've never seen an omnibus on the list. We've talked about omnibuses in the past on the show being very collectible and worth some very good money. I've seen some omnibuses go for, $500, $600, even up to $1,000.
Yep.
And this looks like it's one of them. I don't know how rare this is. For those of you guys that don't know, Marvel did their omnibuses, which weren't as big as the absolute size, but they were oversized, but they're really thick. And they did variants on them where they would have some that were the original cover, and then they would have like a big, like Alex Ross do an homage to the original cover. And I'm not sure, how they did it, but some would be limited, some wouldn't be, and vice versa. And originally they were a couple $100 books to start off with.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Big price tags to start.
Matter of fact, it's funny because I remember walking into a half price books a couple times, and then hey, where are your comics, this and that, and they'd be like, oh, we got new omnibuses in. And I remember thinking omnibuses, and then they were talking about how much they're worth, and blew me away with some of those, especially the X-Men one. I think goes for a ton.
Yeah, the X-Men. Yeah, it does. I don't know. I can't get into that stuff. Omnibuses. I see, dude. I'm in this thread where they have a bunch of omnibuses and trade paperbacks for sale. I can't do it, man.
They take up a lot of shelf space.
Yeah,
and they're kind of difficult to read. Like it's kind of heavy sitting with something like that on your lap.
Well, yeah. Like if you're gonna sell it, like I mean, it's bad enough when you're carrying boxes of regular comics, and you got like, oh, let me get my whole box of omnibuses and bring that to the show.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, but this one it sells. Like you said, I looked at it because I was surprised to see this, and yeah, it's a consistent $200-$300 seller. And there's none up when I looked. There's none available right now, apart from like an Italian one.
Do you think it's because it's Conan? Because Conan from back in the day, like the 80s, us kids are grown now, and it's all about Conan and, like Stallone and Schwarzenegger and all that stuff.
Could be.
I don't know.
Well, I think Ben has an interesting question that he posts on the list. He mentions, he says, I've noticed a trend of a lot of omnibuses selling omnibuses or omnibuy. Selling for much above the initial cost. Those of you who collect these, is this a trend that you welcome? How much longer until we see incentive variants regularly on these trades? That's a very good question. I would be interested to see what some of the people out there that do collect these omnibuses think about this. And I mean, have they been waiting for this? Have they been, there's people out there that I'm sure that have stocked up on a couple of these. It'd be interesting.
I think there have been variants on some of these trades and whatnot. Not many, but there have been a couple.
Yeah, for the omnibuses for sure. I don't know about how we're gonna get, if this is gonna bleed into regular trades and stuff. I don't know, but I remember before the omnibuses and the Absolute Edition started coming out, they have the Marvel Masterworks.
Oh yeah.
Is that what they are?
Yeah.
And those things were selling for ridiculous amounts.
Yeah.
People were putting together sets of those, and man, they were selling for a lot of money on the secondary.
I don't know if you're gonna pay an artist to do an exclusive, variant cover of an omnibus or a trade paperback. I mean, usually you use like the most sought after variant usually on the new ones. Like they'll use a Campbell or a Hughes or whatever the hell, the latest and greatest.
Whatever can sell it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I would love to hear people's thoughts on the question that Ben posed. What people that collect the omnibuses feel about this, and is it something they've been waiting for or whatnot? So it'll be interesting to see if anybody gets back to us about this. Real quick, since we have you on the show, Peter, I want to talk about dollar bin digging number 13. Is it or 73? Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let's get to this real quick here.
Sure.
So let's talk about your new article. For those of you guys that don't know, comicbookinvest.com has some of the best writers that are doing it to this day in the biz. I'll keep saying it. I think that comicbookinvest.com is your modern day wizard. Amazing articles. You got the Hot 10 list. You got a lot of really good checklists. You got some very amazing info, but the articles are just killing it. And Peter, you're one of the guys that's doing it on a monthly basis, weekly basis. You're just putting out really good stuff. So let's talk about dollar bin digging issue 73.
Yeah, sure. No, I agree with the wizard thing. Like that's kind of how I always viewed it. And I do the wizard rewind. So I've been filling out my wizard run, basically rebuilding it because I used to have all the wizards back in the day, and I got rid of them just because I thought they were just garbage. Now I kind of wish I still had them because they would come in handy. But I've been picking them up. You'll find wizards in dollar bins here and there. I buy them for cheap. But for this week, I actually took a suggestion from the comment section from last week. I'm just going to try to scroll here, see who said it. It was Bang Zap who mentioned that the Star books, the Star comics. So that's what kind of got me on this kick. And I thought, hey, let me look at the Star books. I see them all the time. And outside of those Marvel Anniversary books that pretty much all of us know by now with the Heathcliff and the Muppet Babies and those all sell and they sell pretty well. But there was a couple others that I found that was like, you know what? I do see these sometimes. I should be picking them up. Like the Thundercats there and any late run book is usually a good play. Silverhawks 1, which usually the number ones aren't that good, but it's a consistent $10 seller. So if you see it, you should grab it. I mean, for $1, 1 to 10, that's a pretty good profit. If you want to flip it or just get it for yourself. I mean, Silverhawks. Like, I don't know if you guys play with it, but I used to have Silverhawks back in the day. They didn't want a lot of articulation to them, but they were still pretty cool figures. Nice and shiny. It was kind of unique for the time. But yeah, there's plenty of those books there. And then on the opposite end of it, going on the more adult side of the books, these I don't know if I'm saying it properly with the Verotic or however you want to say it, but Glenn Danzig's publishing house. I grabbed that one book out of a dollar bin this last week, the Verotica #1, and it's an interesting read. And I remember the Jaguar Gods from back in the day, and they don't command a lot, but they're interesting books. And if you look at like some of the creators that are involved, you got Grant Morrison writing, and you got Danzig involved, you got Simon Bisley, you got some Frazetta covers on those Jaguar Gods. Like this is some good stuff, and if you can find it for $1, just grab it just to keep it. But
yeah,
that's what I've been looking at. I mean, after 73 weeks now doing this, I mean, I can only point out how many firsts, and there's a lot of stuff if you see it in a dollar bin to grab it. So got to try to think a little outside the box.
I love that Jaguar God cover. It's just really good. That's got to be Frazetta, right? I mean,
yeah, it is. And that's a reused image too.
Yeah,
great. What is that? Dark Wolf character. I think he did use that image before, and he used it for Jaguar God there.
Oh, very, very cool book. For those of you guys that are Danzig fans, I'm gonna jump over and break your bubble, because Danzig is a puke. And for those of you guys that want to learn more, go check out youtube.com/thebogcast, BOGCAST, and check out our Danzig clips. You'll love them. All right. So make sure you guys definitely go check out Peter's articles. Like he mentioned, he's got the dollar bin digging, but one of my favorite articles that he does is the whole wizard, kind of looking in at the old wizards, which was one of my favorite things to do. We talked about it before. I think we talked about it with you, Peter, that I think Wizard is probably the best shitter reading material in the world.
I used to read them when I used to smoke cigarettes back in the day. Like, I was the best companion to take out with a smoke. Just flip through, look at the Hot 10 artist lists or whatever it was.
And this nice square inches says, have you been watching cartoonist kayfabe, Ed Piscor and Jim Rugg's channel? They do some amazing deep dives into Wizard, I guess, chronologically. So.
And Ed Piscor is a really cool creator.
He's an interesting guy.
Yeah. So, cool. Very cool.
Yeah. And eventually I'll get a new Usual Suspects out there. I've been working on a foreign one because inspired by John Z's Global Comic Safari. I've been working on it for 2 weeks, but I just haven't had the spare time to just finish it up. So it's still in the hopper.
You're a busy man, so we appreciate what you do, brother. And for those of you guys that also are a fan of action figures, make sure you guys go check out Toy Informer. There's some cool stuff over there, and Peter's part of that too. So, all right, let's move on here. This is an interesting book because I think we've all kind of spec'd on this guy in the past.
That's when Doctor Strange was coming out. Remember, Doctor Strange? It was 169, right? And everybody was that, and Doctor Strange's first appearance, obviously. And they're like, "Oh, Brother Voodoo's not far behind," and he just never.
Well, his brother was in the first movie.
Yes.
So I mean, they
just didn't do much
for this.
And the character, the actor they had playing him is a great actor, and I just. It's interesting that they're doing a casting call. Why shouldn't they be using that same actor?
Well, he's going to be, I guess, the ghost brother, and they're going to have to cast, the living, Brother Voodoo for him.
Okay.
But I was all last year. I was slow playing a mid-grade copy that was listed for like $80, and I kept making offers trying to get it around 60, and just couldn't seal the deal. Now it's out of reach. Yeah. Well, not out of reach, but out of the range I want to pay right now.
Yeah. Because I mean, honestly, if I'm a long-term guy, I'm not thinking that this is going to blow up and it's going to be the greatest, book. It's not like it's going to be Fantastic Four, 46 or 48 or something like
exactly.
It's like it's going to blow up for a second and go back down. Like like it's like Falcon. That's what I would kind of say. Like Captain America 117. Like it went up and then now you can still get like 7.0s for like $100.
Yeah, like I personally don't want to overpay because I just want one for me. I'm not looking really to flip it in any around the time. I just want one for me, and I got a price I want to pay, and outside of that, I can wait. I'll get a reprint. They'll probably do like a Marvel facsimile reprint not too long. When the movie comes out.
It's like Doctor Strange. It's like Doctor Strange's book that it went up when it first started, and now you can't give them away, really. I mean, you're gonna, unless you get them for super cheap. I mean,
exactly.
Also, this character is a great character that he plays both the bad guy and the good guy, and he has those roles that kind of weave in between, kind of like that Punisher type character. So I've actually ran into quite a few people that Brother Voodoo is one of their favorite characters.
Oh, so. I do too. Indianapolis Comic Con, there's a couple guys who always look for Brother Voodoo comics and stuff like that. So it's cool.
Yeah. Very cool, and hopefully it'll finally pay off for some of you guys that have been specking on this character for a while. But it's a great book, and it's even if it doesn't pan out, eventually I think it will.
Still want one. Get one eventually.
Yep, it's definitely one of those keys that we're all looking for. So, all right, back to Star Wars, and this is a double dose. Last week, this was on the list, I believe, at number 2, if I remember correctly. Super hot book again because of a lot of the Star Wars speculation about Darth Revan and some of the comic characters that they're talking about maybe showing up on one of the small screen or the big screen. And once we've been talking about it for a while, once that happens, whether it's Revan, how do you say her name? Ahsoka, or Grand Admiral Thrawn. There are some characters that if they finally hit that screen, a lot of these other comic characters are going to blow up. Whether Kathleen Kennedy says that they aren't going to use them or not, they'd be stupid not to. And I think she kind of put her foot in her mouth there. So
yeah, I mean, it makes no sense to just waste all this good work that's out there.
No, especially
if you don't have to follow everything exact, but
yeah, well, I think it's where you're getting a double jump, man. Because last week it was $30. Now you doubled that. You know, it's now 75. I mean, that's crazy. I mean,
yeah,
it's I'm look on the lookout for.
Yeah, and a lot of people were going. It's funny because here's another perfect example of what the market is saying. Because most people, the past couple years, have been specking on the wrong book for Darth Revan. They've been specking on that cameo, that Star Wars Tales 23 or something.
And
like that.
I just found that book like 2 weeks ago for $5.
Very tough book to get in high grade. There is a variant. There's a photo variant and a drawn cover. They both have Wedge Antilles on the cover, I believe. And they are I guess they're calling them the cameo appearances now.
It's one panel. It's literally one panel.
Revan and Malik, right? Darth Malik is both in it.
You're just kind of standing there on like kind of like a vision kind of panel. So it's not even like a real appearance in the story. So I can see that it is just a cameo.
Yeah. And this is a great character. I mean, for those, let's go back to the Toy Informer. I'm sure you guys, if you haven't done articles on it, there's going to be articles coming. Those Revan and Malik characters in those Star Wars figures are super tough to find, and you're going to be paying a pretty penny for them. But people have been going crazy for those characters ever since that they got released. And they're just cool looking characters. They got great backstories. This Knights of the Old Republic run was absolutely awesome, and the game was great. So
yeah,
people love those characters.
And this is a timeline that's just ripe to adapt. Whether they do a show, do a new series of movies, it makes sense to distance themselves from the current.
A new video game.
Yeah, you're right. This is good material.
You're right, Peter. They need to distance themselves, and how great would it be if they go back in time? That's what they should do. They need to go back in time. Let's get some stories on some of the lore.
Exactly.
So we'll see, though. And like Nine Square says, thanks to CBSI, thanks to the CBSI Star Wars article, by the way, because that Star Wars article was absolutely amazing. There's a lot of really good Star Wars stuff on that site. Topher has been dropping Star Wars stuff for years. Little just gorgeous nuggets that people have been picking up on, and that one article was just glorious.
Yeah, NC put in a lot of work to put that together.
It was glorious, and if you haven't seen it, just go check it out, even if you're not a Star Wars fan, because it can make you some big money down the line. All right, this is a name that we've been talking about a lot. I think that the last 10 Hot 10 lists have had one of her covers probably on the list somewhere. This is a new one to the list. This is a Read Only Memories #2, the Peach Momoko variant. This is a supposedly a pretty good series from what I hear. This is a Cena Grace written book. And Cena Grace is a really cool dude that I've met a couple times. Just a good dude, and he's a really good artist too. But Marvel had done some things with him where I think he was writing the Iceman book, and now he's writing this Read Only Memories. I think he's got a couple things he's doing, but it's nice to see him pop up on the Hot 10 every once in a while, even though I think this is more towards the Peach Momoko variant, obviously. But I'll give a nice shout out to Cena Grace. What do you guys think about this cover?
I don't love it. I like the colors. It's just the image is just a little flat. Like, I don't know if it's just the pose or what, but
I think it's the pose.
Not for me.
It's not that anime style kind of. It's like it's like it's not as hard as anime kind of. It's softer. I mean,
I've never been a fan of the Momoko variants. She's a beautiful, does some beautiful art on her. If you guys go check out her webpage, she's got some
bangers,
watercolors. Some
It's unique stuff, but this looks like something that would be on the side of like your shopping bag at your mall back in the 80s.
Exactly. Yeah. She does some really cool old school samurai stuff, some traditional Japanese art on her website. Yeah. This I'm just not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of a lot of her comic book stuff. So
I think it's the mouth expression. Like it's kind of just, I don't know if she needs like a happier face and to make it pop more. It's kind of like doomy gloomy kind of thing, and it comes off like that.
But at the same time, I get it why people like it. Like some people might like the image, and it's got to be hard to find. I mean, who's ordering 10 copies of this read-only memories story from IDW? So I didn't see one at the shop this week. So and I went to a couple shops and I didn't see it.
I think there's if I'm not mistaken, there's a Captain Marvel Momoko variant that's coming out next week. Does that sound right?
It might have been this week.
Okay, it might have been this week too.
I missed it.
Yeah, so there's another Momoko variant out there.
Captain Marvel the End, I think.
Yeah, Captain Marvel the End. You're right. So, I don't know. Everything else that she's doing is popping up. So you wouldn't be surprised if we see that Captain Marvel the End next week. So Peach Momoko is a very hot name right now, along with this artist. Wow, what a cover!
Yep.
Yeah, Inhook Lee. I believe that's how you say it. Just the stuff that he's been doing, we've all been blown away by. But this, anytime you throw Hulk versus anybody, especially one of the bigger characters like Thor,
you get that lightning going across the cover. That is a nice image.
Beautiful. This is a big book. Big shout out to Doc Joe. Doc Joe saw this many moons ago. Yep. And said this is going to be a banger. And like he said, the lucky guy finally got one. So beautiful, beautiful book. And
he's got to be two now.
He's got to be. Yeah, he's got to be the guy who's been the most consistent with the bangers back to back to back to back to back. I mean, from Spider-Gwen, Go Spider, all the way up to this thing. I mean, I don't think I've seen a guy more consistent. I mean, maybe you go Campbell, maybe you go Hughes, but I mean, he's getting in that territory of,
Didn't he also do the Thanos? What was those characters that were like Thanos's characters? Those variants.
Oh, the Black Order ones.
Yeah. Did he do the Black Order?
You're right. Those high incentive ratios.
Oh yeah, beautiful. The connecting covers. Those were so gorgeous. And maybe those have started, dropped a bit and maybe are back in price range because those are some beautiful covers. And I wish I would have, known more about him back then because everything he's putting out is just crazy. And this is a $100 book raw, if I'm not mistaken. Is it going for more right now?
There's one there. I don't know what's going to end at. It's already at $50 something for that right now. There's one auction going off right now.
Yeah,
I'm usually wary on incentives on these like weird miniseries, but again, this is 2 for 2 on this series.
Yep, number one's on
number one, and then you got this. I mean, I don't know. Now we'll order for number 3, so I don't know what the number 3 cover will be for incentive wise, but
that's a great point.
We're north of 100 right now, boys. We are at like the 120 to 180 range. So
well,
it's that classic number 2 drop off.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, beautiful book, and hopefully you guys that like it can get yourselves a copy at cheap. As of right now, I don't think that's going to happen. Real quick, just because we got Doc Joe in the chat, I want to give a big shout out to Doc Joe and congratulations. Doc Joe is now Grandpa Joe.
Yep.
So, big shout out to him and his family. We appreciate you, brother, and congratulations on that. That is very, very cool. So big shout out to him. But yeah, you are old, sir. You're very old, but that's why we love you. And we want to thank you to everybody that joined us in chat this week. We appreciate you, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
And we appreciate Peter too, because Ben S couldn't make it, and Peter's filling in, and he's doing a great job. So
yes.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, well, you guys are going to be seeing more and more of Peter on our site. He's just he's a doing some great stuff for both Toy Informer and comicbookinvest.com. And he looks good on camera. So it's
That's what it's about, baby.
no, well, I won't say it, but anyway. Thank you guys. We appreciate your help, and check us out next week. Leave a comment. Make sure you guys go check out the comicbookinvest.com webpage. Leave a comment on the Hot 10 list, and maybe you'll win a book. Other than that, we appreciate you, and we will see you guys next time.